Hi, this is Nancy from Light Living. I just wanted to answer a quick question that somebody asked me as far as how did I hear about tiny home living and then what it took to have the mindset to be able to live in a tiny home. Well, like so many people, I was looking on YouTube. I ran across a few channels in which people were living in tiny homes. In fact, there were more than tiny homes to me. There were RVs, Class A, Class B, Class C. People were living in travel trailers, fifth wheels, casitas. They were living in carriage homes, just all types of things, containers, tents. There were backpacking and many days backpacking. Some people were just even in apartments, decided just to keep an apartment or just land and just put something on the land that was tiny. So over time, looking at those, I just decided to myself, these people, they seem not to have all of these bills. That's what they're saying. But of course, I had to look into it deeper to see financially what it would cost. But apart from that, the main thing was, would I be comfortable? I was used to a lot of space, used to being in a home, used to being in a house. I'm a very traditional person, raised in traditionalist ideologies and some everything else. So to me, having the house, that was just something that you just did, something that you just needed to have. But I never considered other roof types, to be more specific. So the way I heard about it was YouTube. What changed my mindset towards it was just watching it for so long and seeing how other people were living, seeing what they were comfortable with, what they were not comfortable with, knowing myself better, what I would be comfortable with, not being comfortable with. And then I did that little tiny home experiment in which we all piled up in one room for 2 months, trying to see, how we fared in a small environment. Because after watching some of those channels, we did realize that it would be nice to be able to be in an RV and travel around the United States or travel around the country and see all the sites, when that time comes. Right now, we have fixed jobs. We're in one location. So that time isn't now, but we had to figure out a way to do it because we just didn't want to not travel. So that's another video on how what we came up with to do that. But as far as tiny house living and how we heard about it and what made us even want to do it was just the YouTube and time, just learning something about it. Because when I first saw it, I'm like, oh no, I need my space. Oh no, I wouldn't live like that. Oh no, not me. But over time you realize maybe it could be me. You see that. So that's kind of what led to it. And then I just had to take all the other steps that would lead towards the goal that I had of us traveling eventually through the United States of America in RV once all retired and all that stuff like that. But in the meantime, still traveling with fixed jobs every second, every moment we can get. But that's another video. Okay, so hopefully I answered that question. Another question is, how did I prepare for tiny home living? Well, the first thing that I did is we got everything that we needed and we piled up in one room. And the only reason we went out of that room was actually because, well, to be honest, we still needed the kitchen, and the facilities, but those are the only reasons we came out. Other than that, we spent all day in that small space just to see if we could actually tolerate being in a small space. Now, the reason we needed to do that is because I wasn't quite sure of the psychological effects of being in such a tiny space, nor was I sure with a 6-year-old could we all be in there peacefully or still enjoy some quiet time or get a little me time even though we were still around each other. And what I found out is we were very happy in there together. Nobody got on nobody's nerve. No one was in anyone else's space. We did actually have to plan our movement some of the time, so we're not both standing in the same spot trying to open a drawer and get something out of the drawer or something like that. But other than that, we did pretty good. There was nothing psychologically negative about it, but also we get along very well and we love each other. And even though Christy is very active, she was still obedient in the space, almost more obedient in the smaller space than in the larger space. So that's how we got ourselves physically and mentally prepared for living in the tiny space. And like I said before, it was probably a year us developing the mindset of living in a tiny space or choosing not to be in a big house, because that was just a new thought for me, because I was so used to being in houses, living in houses, grew up in a house. I'm very traditional as well. So I couldn't see doing it any other way except the way that I grew up actually doing it. So that, hopefully that answers that question right there. Another question that I was asked was, whose idea was it to downsize and try living in a tiny home? Well, the answer to that question is me. I went to my husband and I just told him about this little plan to save money. However, I just said we would have to sacrifice something, and what we would have to sacrifice is that so-called American dream, you know, where we're pretty much enslaved to our homes, making our payments and paying for everything that goes with it with our high cost of living. So that was a small sacrifice to me in order to travel later. So a lot of what I'm doing now is for tomorrow. I'm not quite sure if I'll even be here tomorrow because we're not guaranteed the next day. But I still wanted to take steps towards it. So when that day comes, if it comes, then we're out and about on the road, sightseeing, seeing God's wonderful creation. So it was pretty much my idea. So that answers that question. However, Preston was all for it. He just said, okay, put together a good plan, show me how we'll do it, and let's take the necessary steps to do it, and it'll be done. Okay, another question that I was asked is how hard is it, or was it, you know, to get used to talking to the camera? And as you can see, I'm still not used to it. It's very strange sitting here by myself in a car holding a conversation with an inanimate object. You know, vlogging on YouTube. The laughing. That's the hardest thing, because as soon as I glance at myself or think to myself, I'm talking to an inanimate object, or imagine the expression on other people's faces as they see me talking to my phone, then my funny bone kicks in, I guess, and I start laughing. And the hardest thing to get used to is talking to an inanimate object and not laughing all the time about it. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Okay, and I can't even talk. All right, here we go. Oh no, I can't stop laughing. Okay, another question. I feel so silly talking to myself. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'll get used to it. Okay. I'll take 100. Okay, another question that I was asked was, whose idea was it to downsize and to do the tiny home? Okay, that had to be me. Most definitely. Oh, it had to be me. Oh my God, it sounds like a song. Okay, oh goodness. Let me get myself together. Gosh, be serious. I really feel silly talking to myself. This is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Then I used a mobile phone app.